Okay, hello everybody. 5 minutes before start time. Thank you for joining today's event. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Phaedra Aldridge. And if you are a BCSS member, you should have received a Slido link from us last week. And this link will allow you to vote during today's AGM. But if you didn't receive a link, please email Andrew Stewart right now at operations@bcss.org, and Andrew or someone else will get back to you right away. And to ensure that everybody is familiar with the voting process today, please click, we're just going to do a few little test runs. Please click on the link that you received directing you to Slido right now. And now that you're there, hopefully, let's start with a couple fun questions just to test out the system. And remember, if you are having any issues at all, you are not alone. Please let us know in the chat box and somebody will assist you. So voting during the AGM is simple. It does not require installing any software or for you to sign up for anything. As I said, you just have to click on that link that you received in your email. And when I read out a question, it should appear in Slido, and then you're able to select your answer. Okay, so we're going to try this out. Couple fun questions. Question number 1, as you can see on the screen, do you prefer cats or dogs? Simple question, just to test out the system. Cat, dog, or both? You can try that out if you want now. So once again, just to recap, go into the link that was sent to you. If you are a BCSS member, you should have received the link that will direct you to Slido. You don't need to download anything. And we're just trying out a few fun questions right now. So if you want to try it out, poll fun question number 1, do you prefer cats or dogs? Gives you the chance to select the button. Fun question number 2. We'll pull that up now. Do you like the rain? Yes, no, or you can abstain. Great, it's up on the screen. So there again, if you're just joining us now, we're just testing out the system before we get started. You just need to click on the email link that was sent to you if you are a BCSS member. It will take you to Slido, and we're just going through a couple fun questions now just to test it out to make sure that you're ready to go for the AGM. If you have any issues at all, please email Andrew Stewart at operations@bcss.org, of course, or you can send us a note in the chat box and somebody will get back to you ASAP. Okay, and I think everybody is hopefully all ready to go now, and we will start the AGM in a couple minutes. Thanks for joining us. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this year's annual general meeting. Thank you so much for joining us. We're absolutely thrilled that you can participate in this virtual event. So wherever you're joining us from, welcome to today's and this year's AGM. My name is Phaedra Aldridge, and I'm the CEO of the BC Schizophrenia Society. And I would like to start by acknowledging that we are very grateful to be virtually gathered on Indigenous land, regardless of where you are joining from. From our offices in Vancouver, I'm grateful to be on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Coast Salish peoples, including the territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish nations. During today's annual general meeting, we'll be recognizing long-time BCSS volunteers David Halikowski and Fred Dawe with the BCSS Champion Award. And immediately following the AGM, we'll be welcoming Minister Sheila Malcolmson to say a few words just before education presentation. And for the education presentation, Dr. Vijay Sathapathy, the Chief Medical Officer with BC Mental Health and Substance Use Services, will be discussing a very important topic, the BC Mental Health Act. So let's begin. It is my pleasure to introduce you to Jack Middleton. He is the Vice President of the BC Schizophrenia Society, and he will be leading today's AGM. Over to you, Jack.
Thank you very much for joining us for the AGM. To start, I just want to remind you about the process for the virtual AGM. As a reminder, Slido is where the voting will take place. All BCSS members who were members in good standing by Friday, October 7th, should have received a link to Slido. If you have any questions about that email, please send an email to Andrew Stewart at the email address provided in the chat box. During the meeting, I will read out the motion and ask for someone to move the motion in the chat. If you would like to move a motion, type your full name in the chat box so we know that you are moving the motion. For example, I, Jack Middleton, move this motion. Phaedra will then read the name of the member who is making the motion. I will then be asking people who will second the motion, and the same thing. You will type in I, Jack, second the motion, and then Phaedra will read out your name. Please use your full name. It just makes it smoother and easier to capture the information for us in the minutes. Voting during the AGM is simple. It does not require you to install any software or sign up for anything. Simply click the link we sent to all BCSS members in advance. You will then be sent a motion and asked to vote. Simply click yes, no, or abstain to each question that we send. That's it. The poll will then advance automatically as votes come up. And once again, if you are a BCSS member in good standing, but have not received a link to vote, please email Andrew directly. Today's event is made possible with funding from AbbVie. We thank them so much for their support. Let's watch a video now from them with a brief message.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nadia Caruso, Business Unit Manager for Psychiatry at AbbVie, and I'm thrilled to have the opportunity to address you today to provide some context about AbbVie's commitment to mental health. AbbVie is no stranger to psychiatry. Through our legacy organizations, we have been providing treatment options in mental health for over 30 years in areas like depression, schizophrenia, and bipolar I disorder, which are among some of the most difficult disorders to treat. Our commitment to help Canadians living with mental illness goes well beyond providing medication. We work with a variety of stakeholders to contribute to reducing stigma and improving care through our support to healthcare providers and organizations. We advocate and educate to eliminate the systemic inequalities and improve access to care and treatment. We are dedicated to improving mental health care in Canada, one human, one story, and one life at a time. When one knows that 20% of Canadians experience a mental illness and that this proportion increases to 50% by the age of 40, it is clear that mental illness is not a first world issue nor a third world issue. It's an everyone issue. And it will take all of us to bring solutions and innovations to improve the way Canada cares for mental illness. AbbVie is so proud to sponsor this year's BC Schizophrenia Society Annual General Meeting and Education Session. We hope that our sponsored webinar, A Tool for Wellness, the BC Mental Health Act, sparks many thoughts and discussions on this matter. Thank you so much and enjoy the meeting.
Thank you so much to AbbVie for the sponsorship today. Now let's begin. It is 1:11 p.m. and I now call to order the British Columbia Schizophrenia Society 2021-2022 Annual General Meeting. First order of business, the agenda. Who would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda for the 2021-2022 BCSS AGM as presented?
And Jack, we're just waiting for people to make the motion. So as a reminder, please use your full name if you are wanting to make the motion and to second it. As soon as we get your name, we will let everybody know. Okay, first one to make the motion, David Halikowski. makes the motion. And now we need a seconder.
Fred Dawe.
David Halikowski and Fred Dawe.
Okay.
Over to you, Jack.
Voting for this motion will now appear on the screen. We'll give you a few moments to make your vote. All right, I'm seeing 100% for yes, so the motion has carried. Next, we'll be reviewing the 2022-2021 BCSS AGM minutes from Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. If you have any corrections to the minutes, please submit them in the chat box and Phaedra will read them out. Let's wait a moment to see if anything comes up. Okay. Who would like to make a motion to approve the BCSS 2020-2021 AGM minutes from Saturday, October 2nd, 2021 as presented?
So once again, please use your full name if you would like to make the motion to approve the minutes from Saturday, October 2nd, 2021. We're just waiting for the first person to make a motion. And I will need somebody to second it, but still waiting for the first person to make a motion.
I wasn't there, but someone has to speak up.
Okay, Fred Dawe, thank you. Fred Dawe makes the motion. And David Halikowski is seconding the motion.
Thank you both. Voting for this motion will now appear on Slido. Okay, it looks like the motion has carried. Thank you very much. For our next item of business, the financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2022. I want to turn the floor over to Auditor Eric Alice from Tompkins Wozni Chartered Accountants to present. Thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure. Hello, everyone. My name is Eric Alice, partner with Tompkins Wozni. We were your auditors of your fiscal year-end financial statements of March 31st, 2022. And I'm very pleased to present the results of for the fiscal year end. Perhaps I'll share my screen. I don't know if that will work for everyone. I believe it's in the package as well. And here is the 2022 financial statements. And I'll just highlight the two main financial statements. This really first up is the statement of financial position. This is your balance sheet at March 31st, which is the fiscal year end, showing our assets and liabilities in comparison to last year. So here it is showing at March 31st, your total assets were $1,684,433. Those are the resources that you own, mostly made up of cash and investments. On the other side of the balance sheet is your obligations, total liabilities, $802,345. And when we take your assets of the society of 1.7 million minus the liabilities of 800,000, we get what's left over, 882,088. This is the net number on this page. If for some reason at March 31st, we were to liquidate the assets, pay off all the liabilities, this is the amount we would have left over, 882,088. So it's the net resources we're carrying forward into the 2023 fiscal year end. In comparison to last year the number was 585,000. It's increased by $296,000. We'll see in a moment, that's the net bottom line this year, a surplus of 296,000, increasing our net assets from 585 to 882. And kudos to the management team. Looking back a number of years, there was actually very little net assets, perhaps $50,000 in the last several years, built this up. And this is a great cushion to have for future initiatives and to absorb additional expenses. So increasing financial position here, net assets of 882, and largely represented by your cash and investments under your assets of about $1.6 million. So that's where everything was at the end of the fiscal year. As I mentioned, your net assets have increased by 296,000, and that is because the other main statement is your statement of operations, showing the revenues and expenses for the year. Whereas the previous statement was a point in time, this is the activities for the entire fiscal year, the revenues generated and expenses paid. Here it is showing total revenues, $2,434,378. And then all the disbursements were $2,137,679. There's that surplus of $296,000 that increased our net assets from 585 and to 882, plus increases in cash. And overall, the program funding, of course, is a large component of your management team applies for program operating funding. That came in at $1.9 million this year, which was an increase compared to last year. That was a little bit offset by the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy decrease, but overall revenues increased to $2.4 million. On the expense side, largely concentrated in investments in your human resources, wages, contractors, and benefits expense line makes up about 74% of all your disbursements. And then you have some contract fees, other operating overhead costs, and overall came in at $2.1 million. So that's the activities for the revenues and expenses. A little bit of an increase in revenues, a surplus this year of 296 that is being carried forward into the 2023 fiscal year and fully represented by cash. Those are the two main financial statements, and it does start with the auditor's report. We have a unique role as independent auditors. Your management team prepares these financial statements and ensure that there's internal controls to ensure no fraud or error. That all happens with the oversight and direction of the board of directors. And then our job as independent auditors, we come in at the end of the year, once the books are closed, conduct a risk assessment to see where the risks are in the financial statements, making sure the grants are complete, the donation revenues are complete, valid payroll costs, balance sheet is cut off at March 31st, all within the framework of your bylaws, CRA regulations, accounting standards, and so on. And I'm happy to report when we audited those areas, it all came back very, very well. So as independent auditors, we are stating that we feel that these financial statements do present fairly for your March 31st, 2022 fiscal year end in accordance with Canadian accounting standards for not-for-profit organizations. So thank you very much again to the management team, Phaedra, Sunita, Andrew, and the rest of the group. Joanne, your treasurer, and the board of directors. I can tell they take great care in the financial reporting and are very diligent in the process, and very pleased to present that report on your financial statements, our clean auditor's opinion, and the financial results for 2022. That's my report. And I don't know if there's opportunity for questions, but I can hang on if there are.
Nice to see you, Eric. It's Fred Dawe.
Hello, hey.
Right. Thank you very much, Eric. Phaedra, I'm not sure if there's any questions in the chat.
Nope, no questions, Jack.
Perfect. Okay, thank you very much, Eric. And as you mentioned, to the team as well, Sunita and Andrew and Phaedra, for doing so much good work here.
Thank you very much.
I want to see who would like to make a motion to approve the 2021-2022 BCSS audited financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2022.
Okay. And just a reminder to please use your full name in the chat box, not the Q&A box. So once again, if you'd like to make this motion, please use your full name in the chat box at the bottom of your screen, not the Q&A box. And we do need to wait a couple moments just to make sure that we do meet quorum. So as Jack said, please, we need somebody to make a motion, and please do use the chat box, not the Q&A. And we'll just wait a few moments now just to see who is going to be making the motion. And of course, wait for quorum. This is where we need music. Jeopardy music. There we go. Nicely done. So if you have any questions, once again, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. There is the chat box and the Q&A. If you do want to make a motion, please use your full name in the chat box at the bottom of the screen. Okay. We are still waiting for quorum. If you have any questions or concerns, please use the Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. We're still waiting for quorum now. Okay, change of plan. Please insert your full name in the Q&A, not the chat box. There's some technical difficulties, so please insert your full name in the Q&A box, not the chat box. Sorry for these technical issues. The joys of a virtual event. So once again, please insert your full name into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. The numbers are increasing now, which is great. So thank you for doing that. And Guelda Redmond makes the motion to approve the audited financial statements for the year ending March 31st, 2022. And who seconds it? Sorry, Jack, I just jumped ahead. Lynn Peachy.
Okay, voting for the motion will now appear. Thank you. Okay, it looks like the motion is approved. Thank you all very much for voting there. Next, we are appointing the auditor for next year. The motion on the floor is to appoint Tompkins Wozni as the auditor for 2022-23. Who would like to move that motion?
Once again, please insert your full name in the Q&A box at the bottom. We're having some difficulties with the chat box, so use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen if you would like to make that motion. And we are just waiting now to meet quorum. And Jane Duvall makes the motion.
Perfect. Who's seconding?
And we're just waiting for the seconder. Thank you for everybody for using the Q&A box at the bottom. Paul Bouchan, he seconds the motion, Jack.
Perfect. Thank you. Voting will now appear on screen. Just waiting for a quorum of votes. Still need a few more.
So just a reminder, please use your Q&A box at the bottom, not the chat box. And we do need to have quorum. And if you have any questions, please use the Q&A and somebody will get back to you with if you have any issues at all.
It looks like we need 11 more people to vote.
It's nice to see the numbers increasing. So thanks to everybody for inserting your name in the Q&A section at the bottom. We still need a few more though. So if you are a BCSS member, we need your vote now. And just a reminder, if you are a BCSS member, the Q&A box at the bottom, we do need your full name and we do need to meet quorum before moving on. Numbers are rising. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, the motion is carried. Here's the motion for the BCSS new bylaws, which members received in their AGM packets. I think we can cut the music for now, if that's okay. Here is the motion for the BCSS new bylaws, which members received in their AGM package. The existing bylaws of the British Columbia Schizophrenia Society, as filed by the BC Registrar of Companies on September 24th, 2018, be cancelled, and the form of bylaws presented to the members at the annual general meeting be adopted as the bylaws of the Society in substitution for and to the exclusion of the existing bylaws of the Society to be effective as of the date of filing with the BC Registrar of Companies. Who would like to make a motion to approve the BCSS bylaws special resolution as presented?
And Susan Inman makes the motion to approve the bylaws.
Thank you. Who's seconding?
Patricia Darling seconds this motion.
Thank you both for that. Voting for this motion will now appear on your screen.
So as a reminder, we do need to meet quorum. Please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and use your full name. Thank you. It's nice to see the numbers increasing. Thank you to everybody who's voting right now. I don't know if you can hear them counting furiously in the background here. We're waiting for quorum right now. Just a reminder, please use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen using your full name. Thank you to everyone who's voting. We are getting there.
Okay, thank you very much. The motion is carried. It's on to the president's report now. So I want to take a moment to thank our many members, volunteers, staff, donors, and sponsors for their support of the British Columbia Schizophrenia Society. Because of you, families affected by schizophrenia and other serious mental illnesses continue to receive great support and education. And thanks to the generosity of the provincial government, donors, corporate sponsors, stakeholders, and volunteers, we have been able to sustain and adapt our programs and services to help people throughout BC. Thank you to Phaedra and the rest of the BCSS staff team for another successful year in reaching more families across BC and increasing awareness about serious mental illness. And before I finish, I also want to take a moment to commend the families that BCSS supports and recognize the courage and resilience they have shown in the face of schizophrenia and serious mental illness. Okay, now we'll be moving on to approving the BCSS Board of Directors for 2022-23. The slate for this upcoming year's board is David Halikowski, Dr. John Gray, Joanne Leung, Lena Bortnick, Susan Inman, Don Monsieur, Donna Motzer, Jack Middleton, Dr. Fidel Villa Rodriguez, Paul Bouchon, Colleen Crosley, and Brenda Sawatsky Gerling. Who would like to make a motion to approve the slate for BCSS Board of Directors 2023-2023?
Thank you, Jack. We're just waiting for somebody to make that motion. Lisa Kofod makes that motion. Jack?
Thank you very much. Who's seconding?
Don Monsieur, he seconds the motion.
Thank you both. Voting for this motion will now appear.
And we're just waiting for quorum. And as a reminder, just use that Q&A chat box at the bottom of your screen. Please use your full name. Thanks to everyone who's voting right now. The numbers are increasing. We're just counting to make sure.
Thank you very much. The motion is carried. And now I'm going to turn the floor over to Phaedra, our CEO. Thank you very much, Phaedra.
Thanks, Jack. So yes, as I said earlier, I'm just so happy that you are able to be here with us today, whether you're joining us from the island or Prince George or from Kamloops. Thank you for being a part of today's event. And I have to start off by saying a huge thank you to my team, to the regional managers, the educators who work directly with our families. Thank you. You are the essence of our organization. So thank you for everything that you do. To the provincial office team, to Andrew, to Sunita, to the rest of the team that I have the honor of working with in the provincial office, thank you. And I really want to give a special shout out to Neha and to Marsha. They are the ones that organized this event today. So thank you to you both for all the time and hard work you put into today's event, both the AGM as well as our education session. So thank you. I truly am honored. There's no words to describe just how I feel to be working with the team that I have the privilege of working with every day. And I also want to give a shout out to our boards, to the Society Board, as well as the Foundation Board, the Policy Committee, our Medical Advisory Board. All of them volunteer their time to contribute to BCSS and help us move forward. So thank you to both boards, the Policy Committee and our Medical Advisory Committee as well. So thank you for everything that you do for BCSS. And with funding from the BC Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions, BCSS was able to offer additional support to BC families this year, which we are so grateful for. We're able to do this through one-on-one support as well as through family support groups. And this year we put a lot of work into revising our Strengthening Families Together program, which was vetted by both medical experts, family members, and of course the team. We were able to expand the reach of BCSS children and youth programming across our entire province. And we continue to find new ways to reach more families through videos, through social media, through our newsletters, and through our community presentations. And BCSS, with the continued support from BC Partners on Mental Health and Substance Use, was able to offer another season of our podcast, Look Again, Mental Illness Reexamined, with season 3 kicking off this past Wednesday. I'm so grateful for the longstanding partnerships that we've created with the provincial government, both with the Ministry of Mental Health and Addictions and with the Ministry of Health. And for our partnerships with other funders, including AbbVie, which, as we know, is today's sponsor. Through donors and sponsorships, education events like this session that will follow today's AGM remains free to the public and ensures that all the donations made to BCSS stays within BCSS programs and the services that we provide to families. Schizophrenia, as you know, is a serious mental illness that still has a lot of unanswered questions and is still greatly surrounded by many myths and a lot of stigma. As we know, schizophrenia is not a rare illness that happens somewhere out there. It happens and it affects all of us in some way, in some capacity. And psychosis affects 3 out of 100. Well, as I just said, schizophrenia affects 1 out of 100. And one of our major goals this year was to increase the awareness about this, the health, the social, the economic implications of this illness. And we are celebrating our 40th year. We have been around for 40 years. 40 years ago, families didn't have a place to turn to. They didn't have the support system, but thank goodness that we can say that that has changed. We have come a long way in the past 40 years, but we still have a long way to go in terms of education, supporting those dealing with the illness, and helping to create change within our province. Thank you for being a part of BCSS and doing your part to make these changes possible. Together, we truly can make a difference. Thank you for being here today, but more than that, thank you for your ongoing support. And Jack, I'm turning the floor over to you now to hand out a very special award and to present this year's BCSS's Champion Award.
Thank you very much, Phaedra. I'm really excited to be able to announce, to be able to present this year's BCSS Champions Award to Fred Dawe and David Halikowski. Fred Dawe started with the White Rock branch in 1987 and held various positions. In the early 90s, he started with the Powell River branch, which was very large at the time. Then in the mid-90s, Fred joined the BCSS board and held various positions throughout the years. He asked Donna Motzer to join the BCSS board, who is still actively involved. Dave Halikowski joined BCSS in the late 90s. In 2004, he helped incorporate the Prince George branch and has been president of the branch since that time. In 2005, Dave got involved with the BCSS board. He took over from Fred. This will be the last year for Dave as president of the BCSS board, but he will remain on the board ongoing. Both Fred and Dave have volunteered countless hours and showed true dedication. And I know my time working with Dave has been incredible, just as a friend and a mentor and somebody that takes the time to give me a call and spend the time talking to me about what we're doing as an organization. And I really, truly appreciate that. So today, the BCSS is recognizing both Fred and Dave with the Champions Award. It's given to people who have played an essential role in promoting its vision of a province where those living with schizophrenia receive excellent treatment and services. I hope people will join me in remotely applauding Fred and Dave for their extraordinary contributions. And I'm going to pass it over to Fred and then Dave to say a few words. I think you're on mute, Fred.
Yeah, that's what happened when you get old, you know. You forget to do things.
I look forward to it.
Yeah. Well, 86 years is a lot of years, but anyway. I guess my wife should be really joining me in this, but she's not here anymore. She's the one that got me involved. She went to a meeting in 1987 and she signed up for the BC, well, then it was BC Friends of Schizophrenics and or Schizophrenia. And then she signed me up at the same time. So I said, oh boy, here we go. And I was still working. So Rod Pringle was the president then, and he asked me, he said, can you take over? I said, not till I retire. So I finally retired and Rod relinquished it to me. But you know, there's a lot of people.
No, I'm not gonna say much.
Am I okay here? Or
You better tell me.
am I taking up too much time?
No, I
Please.
think that's good. Keep going.
I just wanted to say that there's people that we should recognize when we're talking about champions. The founding members, Betty Vaughn and Nancy Kirk, they spent many hours and days and years at the beginning. And the people I worked with in White Rock, they just wouldn't give up. Ruth Frankish, Helen Conley, Pat Louie. These people spent days, hours, oh, more than you'll ever know. And there was another lad, Frank Deck. Frank used to go out at night where people had nowhere to live, were on the street, people with schizophrenia, and Frank would take them to a motel and check them in. And we had money then in White Rock, about $40,000 at the time we were running. And we used to pay for these motels for people. Now, all these people need to be recognized. And Jane Duval, she just never gave up. She kept going and going and going. I talked her into it when she wasn't sure. And she may not like what I did, but I sort of coerced her into it. All these people, Lucy Waters, I took over from her. She was president. I was vice president at that time. That's going back years. All these people deserve to be recognized as having done their bit in forwarding our society. And I'm so pleased to see what this Phaedra and her team have done, because it's kept going what we started. Thank you. I've said it all. Thank you again.
Thank you so much, Fred. I appreciate that. And over to Dave for a few words.
Thank you, Jack. I just listening to Fred's beginnings in it. My beginnings were similar, Fred, where my wife got involved and involved me. And it's been a journey, as we all know. And I do really appreciate the fact that I'm being recognized at this point, although I just continue to do what I like to do and be involved. And what can I say? I'm involved in the branch here. Took over from some people like you did in the beginning of your journey. You know, people that started the organization up here. So thank you again. It's been a pleasure working with Jack and Phaedra and the whole team that worked so hard to keep us front and center and in the spotlight, that people that have schizophrenia and serious mental illnesses count, and they need to be helped wherever we can. So thank you.
Thank you both so much. It was really nice to hear your thoughts on those points. I hope you're able to check out the chat box there and see all the well wishes from people in the organization. Okay, thank you very much. And I want to move on to the next point here and just say, please remember to join the BCSS as a member if you haven't already. You can find a link to become a BCSS member in the chat box now. Membership fees are $15 annually. Together, we can build a future free from stigma and a province that provides excellent treatment and services for people affected by schizophrenia and psychosis. And now it's time to close the BCSS AGM for another year. Is there a motion on the floor to adjourn the meeting?
Thank you, Jack. We're just waiting now. The motion to adjourn the meeting, Jane Duvall motions. That makes the motion. Jack.
Thank you, Jane. Voting will now appear.
We're just waiting. We know we have this down pat now. The Q&A box down at the bottom. Please use your full name. Thank you again to all your comments, to Fred and Dave. I hope you can see all the very nice comments you have received. Well deserved, you two. And thank you for everybody for your comments. Dave and Fred certainly deserve them. And don't you worry. Dave, you may be leaving the board, or leaving the president role, but thank goodness you're not leaving the board. And Fred, we will never let you go either. So don't you worry about that.
I agree. You can't get away, guys.
No.
And with that, we've approved. Thank you very much for voting on that. With that, the 2021-2022 BCSS virtual AGM has officially adjourned at 1:49 p.m. A huge thanks once again to our sponsor today, AbbVie, and to all of you for joining us. Thank you very much.
And Jack, thank you for leading today's AGM. We certainly appreciate it. And thank you for everybody, like I said, across the province for joining today's event. It really does make today's event that much more special to have you here, and we need you here. We need you to be a member of BCSS. So thank you for taking the time to become a member and to join us. But it's not over yet. We have an amazing presentation coming up as part of our education presentation. It's called A Tool for Wellness, the BC Mental Health Act. We are going to be taking a quick break. When we return, we're going to hear from someone very special, Minister Malcolmson, who will be kicking off our education session on the BC Mental Health Act. But until that time, we're going to take a short pause and listen to Dr. Randall White, who is the medical director of the BC Psychosis Program, to give us a quick overview of the Act. Let's watch it now.